welcome to Kawasaki's Communication Department. As some of you may already know, I'm Caitlin Comer and I am the International Communications Coordinator here at Kawasaki. As you guys are about to embark on a journey to Japan, I will be providing crucial information to effectively communicate there. While this is a review for some, it is a first-time experience for others, so be sure to take in everything you can during this presentation. First of all, when arriving in Japan, there will be a person at the airport to pick you up. Make sure you are very gracious to this person so that we start out on the right foot. Now, while you are primarily in Japan on business, there may be some downtime to do free things. Although the communication in Japan is very different, some of their hobbies or pastimes are very similar. For instance, they have karaoke bars, movie theaters, and sports such as baseball. Now, getting down to business. One communication tip that you need to be aware of is silence. Silence is very common in Japan, and it's something that they use to communicate. They also think that it's better to talk too little than to talk too much. The silence that they convey can be good or it can be bad. As they are listening to what you have to say, they will be silent, and that could be a good thing. Or they're reluctant to say what they really feel because they hate to be negative, so that could be a bad thing. But always be optimistic about it and think that they are thinking the best. Another communication tool in Japan that you need to realize has to do with missing words. A part of this is that they don't like the word no. They don't like to say no. They don't like questions that have the answer of no. So avoid any question that may have a yes or no answer and make it something that they have to give an extended response to. They won't say something can't be done as well. Instead, they will say, ooh, that might be difficult. So keep in mind that when you say something, when you have an idea and you present it and they say, ooh, that might be difficult, what they're really saying is, we don't think that's possible. Sometimes they will leave sentences unfinished for the people around them to determine what the rest of it means, so be aware of this. Also, they won't tell you if they don't understand something. So make sure when you present an idea that they understand it. Make sure you ask them if they understand and make sure you present it clearly so it's understandable. Another communication difference is being sincere. Although this is similar in the United States, they don't want any distractions during their meetings. So no cell phone, and this is a difference, is they don't like any coffee or food or anything else during the meeting. It's primarily business, and that's all you're there for. Everything must go smoothly and without interruptions, or it is considered a bad thing. Communication in Japan also differs from the United States in the truth. They will often give you the answer that you want to hear rather than what they're really thinking or what the truth of the matter is. So beware of this. Sometimes they will agree just because they know that's what you want. Accuracy in communication is very important in Japan. Errors are not welcome in any mean. Like Americans, but worse, they hate to admit they're wrong as well. Also, criticism is taken personally, and you should avoid doing anything that would criticize them because they take it personally and it's a very rude thing to do. Making eye contact in Japan, unlike the United States, is considered rude. Direct eye contact is a no-no, and so please don't do that. Instead, you are to look at their neck or their tie knot. Agreement in Japan is something that is non-existent. They won't agree or disagree with what you're saying. Instead, the nod, which we usually convey as the meaning yes, is just an indication that they are listening to what you're saying. Personal space is something that's very important in Japan. You need to keep a greater physical distance than Americans do. Japanese people like to blend in. They do not like to stand out. So wear something that's not bright, it's general, and it flows. Speaking loudly is also considered rude and threatening. Pointing is also rude, so if I say, oh, you have a green shirt on, that is considered very rude. And I know it's a habit of most Americans, but you need to stop yourself from doing it. Touching is also very reserved. It's not something that they do as a gesture like we do in the United States. The apparel that you will need to wear while on your business trip in Japan are, the dress is conservative. A business suit that's dark in color, and usually expensive is the dress that shows your marking there. So bring enough suits for each day that you will be there, as you will be attending meetings almost every day, and that will be the necessary attire. Also, coats are kept on during their meetings and ties are kept straight while in meetings. The body language is very subtle in Japan, but it's very important. So you need to learn to become not only a good listener, but a good observer, as some very important details can be found from their actions, and if you misinterpret something, it could be very detrimental to Kawasaki. Meeting protocol. When attending a meeting in Japan, the first thing is to get acquainted. And when you're getting acquainted, they may ask personal questions about your family. Just be sure that you don't brag or boast about anything. While you're getting acquainted, you'll also learn the hierarchy of the others in the group and how they rank themselves. After the meeting is over, they will usually invite you to dinner. Please go to this dinner at all costs, no matter what it takes. It establishes a great relationship with the Japanese people. The second order of the meeting is to gather information. But you, as Americans from Kawasaki, you do not want to initiate any of the conversation that goes on in the meeting. You want them to take the lead because that's what they're used to. Also, you will exchange business cards, which they consider mishi, and this is very important as it shows that you two will be communicating in the future. The presentations that you give, we encourage that you present visual aids to them as it makes it easier for them to understand. Some general tips to use when traveling to Japan and going to the meeting is to speak slowly. It's hard for them to understand us, so we need to speak slowly so they can understand better. Also, speak clearly. Make sure you pronunciate so they are understanding everything that you say. Don't use slang. Don't say, "I ain't got no money in my pocket," because they might take it offensively and it might be bad. Also, don't ask any negative questions. Like I said, they aren't negative people and they don't like to give negative answers, so don't ask a negative question that could be portrayed in the wrong way. Also, avoid long sentences as they may get confusing to them because they don't know English as well. Also, be cautious with humor. Some of the humor that we may think is funny, they may take as offensive. One question at a time. It goes along with the avoiding long sentences, because if we ask too many questions, they're not going to know which one to answer first. Also, avoid the OK sign, as it means money in Japan. So going around and doing this if we agree with something or if we think something's okay is not a good idea, because they can take that very offensively. An important note, as Dan Rothwell states in The Company of Others, divergence refers to differences that separate people. Divergence widens the gap between cultures. Don't be a victim of this. Knowing the communication style of Japanese culture allows what Rothwell describes as assimilation. We know these things, so please don't let divergence interfere with our ability to communicate in Japan. Japanese communications vary significantly from what we are used to. Be sure to review all of the crucial details, especially those common habits that in America that are offensive in Japan, as you need to realize that something that may be acceptable here isn't acceptable there, and although it's a habit, you need to break it before you go. Keep the speaking to a minimum and practice listening and observing from now until the meeting. Focusing more on what is left unsaid contains importance in Japan, so make sure when you're here in America before you leave that you focus on doing that. Remember to be positive and dress professionally. Be sure to represent Kawasaki in a positive manner. If there are any questions or concerns about traveling to Japan or communicating there, please feel free to ask me now or contact me at any time. Thank you for your time today and have a wonderful trip to Japan.